Hey guys, did you know that Bergman-esque, Kubrickian, Godardian, and Tarantino-esque have all been added to the Oxford English Dictionary? These words are used to describe a genre of film that reflects the themes and style of a specific film director. For example, the works of Swedish film director Ingmar Bergman are so distinct and iconic that the film term Bergman-esque was created to describe his influence in other films. The term refers to a film that has a theme of a bleak, psychological chronicle of people living in a world that God has abandoned. Oh. Just like my life. Bergman brought elements from his past and personal life and turned them into powerful messages on the screen. Bergman describes growing up with his parents as wholly in the thrall of a frantic need to assert authority and pitiably motivated by what they thought was best for the children. They committed one unconscionable assault on us after another. The threat of punishment lay over everything, and punishment was meted out with relentless precision. In the documentary Bergman Island, Bergman states some of his demons, such as the demon of disaster, fear, order, and rage, he inherited from his parents. Those demons from his childhood haunted him throughout his life and are reflected in his films. For instance, Bergman's 1957 film Wild Strawberries emulates his relationship with his father. Wild Strawberries tells the story of a lonely retired man, Isaac Borg, who must travel to London University to receive an award. Along the way, he revisits events from his past and examines how they affected his relationships, especially his estranged son. Bergman said, "I'm not sure if it's so much about me. Of course, I'm in it somewhere, but the basic character in Isaac Borg is very much my dad, or father as he used to call him. You did in those days, of course. There are issues in it that are very personal." What is most talked about in Bergman's films is his issue with the presence of God, or lack thereof. Bergman came from a religious background, with his father being a Lutheran minister. He would often travel with his father and sit through countless sermons. He would also observe the statues and architecture to pass the time. By the time he started his career in theater, Bergman freed himself of his religious upbringing. Many of Bergman's films, although contain religious imagery, they question faith in a post-war, nuclear-active world. In the early 1960s, Bergman made 3 films that have been dubbed his trilogy of religion: Through a Glass Darkly, Winter Light, and The Silence. Although these 3 films have separate stories, they all share the same theme of a silent God. Ingmar Bergman set the bar high for filmmakers at this time. In 1952, a teenage Alan Konigsberg went to see Bergman's Summer with Monica, which is about a boy and a girl who run off together to escape from society. The teenage moviegoer, who would later change his name to Woody Allen, was impressed. In an interview with Stig Bjorkman, Allen reflects on his experience seeing that film. "To me, Bergman's style started to gel with Summer with Monica. After that, it drifted into the emergence of that great poetic style. He began to see more Bergman films as they were imported to his local Brooklyn movie theater. But it wasn't until he saw Wild Strawberries that he became a huge Bergman fan." Woody Allen said in Woody Allen, a documentary. Then a few years later, they showed The Seventh Seal and Wild Strawberries and The Magician. "I thought that it's pointless for me to work anymore because no one would be able to do anything better than this. Bergman had, just reached the limits of what you could do in film and there's nowhere else to go. So I found myself in an odd position where I was influenced by Groucho Marx, Bob Hope, and Ingmar Bergman. I mean, there was no rationality to it. So you would get a film like Love and Death, for example, which was a film that has a Bergman influence, but so clearly a comic film. Allen's Love and Death tells the story of a Russian man who enlists in the army to protect his country from the invasion of Napoleon. In this film, Allen borrows figures from Bergman's works to serve the story. For instance, a white-clad figure of death is directly taken from Bergman's black-clad figure of death from The Seventh Seal. During the late 1970s, Woody Allen had a desire to make a more European film like that of Bergman's. In 1978, Allen made Interiors, which is about 3 sisters who are shaken up by the sudden divorce of their parents. This film is his most Bergman-esque because it resembles Bergman in its technical style and theme. The technical aspects of Interiors are heavily borrowed from Bergman. From the close-ups to convey emotion, to the discard of music, In an interview with Mark Kermode, Allen describes his attraction to Bergman films and how he was influenced by them. Questions of philosophy, existentialism, and religion that are brought up in Bergman's films personally interest him. He also talks about how death plays a significant role in Bergman's movies, as well as his own. To Allen, the fear of death comes with the fear of the existence of God, a theme well known in a Bergman film. Along with a lot of themes and techniques, Bergman and Allen work similarly as well. They both direct films from their own original scripts based on their past experiences and current struggles. They both have had relationships with their longtime leading ladies, and they both have been sponsored by the same studio for most of their careers. Ingmar Bergman is one of the most notable directors of the 20th century. He dealt with relatable themes of existentialism and psychology, as well as developing a technical style that displayed a certain atmosphere and emotion. Hopefully in the future, his films will not be forgotten, but attract aspiring filmmakers like Woody Allen and inspire them to make their own works of art.